Hi, movie hunters here. Today I am going to explain British fictional heist movie called Flawless.
Movie hunters.
As our story begins, we see a hand foraging in the mud and finding what appears to be gemstones. The gemstones are in fact uncut diamonds. Now we see the busy city of London and an elderly lady called Laura Quinn sitting in a cafe. Copyrights as her guest arrives, a young newspaper reporter by the name of Cassie, who hopes to write a story about Laura. As they talk, Laura produces a diamond of 168 carats and has 58 facets. Cassie is amazed and picks up the diamond. As Laura begins to tell the story of how she stole the diamond from the London Diamond Company. When Laura tells her story, we go back to 1960 in London. Laura, a young businesswoman, is entering the building of the London Diamond Corporation where she works as a manager in a male-dominated company. She says hi to an elderly cleaner called Mr. Hobbs. We see a man named Mr. Eaton being followed by two men with small trolleys. Eaton opens a large vault where they load the trolleys with diamonds and take them to the desks where they are examined for flaws. Outside, the owner of the company known as MK and his son Ali arrive at the building amidst a group of protesters. As they enter the office, the directors and staff are waiting to discuss the latest news of 100 diamond workers being killed at the mine site in Africa. Laura tells MK that the Russians will most likely sever ties with the company because of the bad press. MK announces the new managing director as Peter Boland. Laura is not chosen because the company will not break tradition by making a woman managing director. Later, we see Mr. Hobbs the cleaner enter Laura's office. He tells her that he believes people should be bold and take what they desire. Laura signs out of the building, the last to leave as usual. In the hallway the following day, Laura meets a man named Harold Reynolds who she met at Oxford University. He gives Laura a business card and suggests she might like to work for Allied Banking, the company he works for. The next morning, she finds her inspirational note and a negative response written below. She also finds a cinema ticket with a session time written on the back. Curiosity gets the better of her and at her lunch break she goes to the cinema. As Laura enters the cinema, Mr. Hobbs is there and suggests they sit together. She is losing patience, but he tells her that he overheard a conversation between the directors, saying that her job will be terminated shortly. He offers her a plan, stealing enough diamonds to make them rich, but not enough to be noticed. She's not sure whether to believe him or not and warns Hobbs that he'll never get away with that. Later at work, Laura finds a letter of her employment termination. She then decides to make an appointment to see Harry Reynolds. As Laura sits in a restaurant with Harry, he tells her his company cannot offer her a job because she is incompetent. It seems that her company has spread some bad rumors about her. That night, she falls asleep on the sofa and has a dream about the security men at work catching her trying to steal diamonds from the company. The next evening, she goes to the dog races to find Hobbs. She asks him how he can rob the company. Hobbs tells her he has a plan. In Hobbs' apartment, he explains his plan. Because the vault codes are changed weekly, he will need Laura to find the codes which are somewhere in MKA's study at his house. Hobbs tells Laura, when she is attending a function at MKA's house to entertain the Russians, she will have to find the vault codes. He tells her that he can carry enough diamonds in his drink thermos to see both of them comfortably retired. On the night of the function, Laura talks with MKA's second-in-command, Mr. Jameson. He tells Laura how Sir Sinclair, the company's insurance director, was once implicated in a health insurance scandal but wasn't prosecuted. MKA introduces Dmitriev, the head of the Russian Diamond Authority, to them. Dmitriev asks Laura for a dance. Later, Laura walks upstairs and goes to MKA's study to look for the codes. Laura hears footsteps and quickly hides as MKA enters and opens a small safe. She watches him and makes a mental note of the safe code. Once he's left, she opens the safe and finds the codes for the vault. The next day, Laura sees a man installing a security camera in the hallway. Later she meets Hobbs and tells him that there are 8 CCTV cameras being installed. She tells him the cameras alternate on and off for 60 seconds at a time. He assures her that's enough time for him to get in and out of the vault. Next, Hobbs mops the floor in the security room and times the cameras. In the cleaner's room, he looks at his stopwatch, then makes his move. Looking at his stopwatch, he rushes to the vault and puts in the code. Meanwhile, Laura calls the security room as a distraction, to give Hobbs a little more time. Again he watches his stopwatch, then opens the vault and hurries quickly down the corridor and out of the view of the camera. Later we see Hobbs leaving work to go home. The next morning Laura watches Hobbs leave work, but the sign on the clerk calls Hobbs back inside. Hobbs is required to unblock a toilet before leaving. Hobbs is at home emptying his tea thermos into the sink, but there are no diamonds. The next day, the diamond sorters have all gone home. Laura goes down to the lobby and finds Jameson in a panic. Laura is in the ladies' toilets when Mr. Eaton calls her and takes her to the vault. As she enters, she can't believe her eyes. The vault is empty. Mr. Eaton is showing a man named Finch the building plans and tells him the only way into the vault is by the door. Now MKA is telling all of the management staff that there will be no police investigation because the publicity would ruin the company. Sinclair introduces Finch as the chief insurance investigator. Laura sees Hobbs in the lobby, but he reassures her everything is okay. Later, Laura goes to MKA's office. We see a man called Boyle giving a letter to MKA regarding the purchase of some inventory. Apparently Boyle is unaware of his client's identity and the contents of the inventory. Boyle is called out for a phone call. While he is out, MKA reads the letter which states that the diamonds can be bought back for £100 million. Before leaving, Boyle hands a small package to MKA and then he leaves. MKA opens the package which contains a huge diamond known as the South African Star. Later, Finch asks Laura some questions, and notices that she's very nervous. The next morning Laura suggests to Jameson that she works with Finch to help with his investigations. Laura finds Finch and they go down to the vault together. He tells her that CCTV cameras are not so secure because of a 60-second time gap. Finch tells her there was no forced entry. She suggests that the thief must have known the combination. We see Sinclair offer MKA a check for £5 million to buy enough diamonds to keep trading, but MKA wants the diamonds back now. When Finch suggests that MKA's son Ollie may have been involved, MKA loses his temper and threatens to ruin Sinclair if he doesn't pay the ransom. Now we see Hobbs in an underground canal and Laura tells him they should give the diamonds back and make a deal. But he tells her if she does that they will go to jail. We see Laura looking at the plans of the building when Finch comes in to take her fingerprints. Just as a formality, he then asks her to accompany him while he questions Hobbs. While Finch questions Hobbs, a man comes in and calls Finch away. Before Hobbs leaves the office, Laura tells him they'll have to negotiate or go to jail. He tells her his cause is worth 100 lifetimes in jail. We see Finch looking at Laura's prints and comparing them with some from MKA's home. Now Laura is opening Hobbs' locker to look for a clue to the diamonds. Later, Laura joins Finch for a drink in a nearby bar. At the London Diamond Building, the press arrives after Sinclair has tipped them off. Sinclair's chairman, Sir Gottfried, tries to hold back the press. MKA comes down the stairs, then suffers a heart attack and falls to the floor. Back in the bar, Finch asks Laura how she managed to remove all the diamonds, but she assures him she is not that smart. Just then, Finch is told of MKA's heart attack and he leaves. In the ladies' toilets, Laura drops a diamond from her earring in the sink's drain. She removes the pipe underneath and suddenly she realizes how Hobbs must have removed the diamonds. Laura takes a torch and enters the underground drain system. As she walks through the tunnels, Hobbs appears with a torch. When she threatens to turn him and he points a gun at her and tells her she's staying, she knocks the gun from his hand, then runs through the tunnel, but trips and falls, then sees a huge diamond on the floor, which she puts in her pocket. Hobbs tells Laura how his wife's cancer could have been removed, but the insurance company made her wait too long for the surgery. By then, the cancer was too aggressive. Sinclair was the insurance chairman at the time, who postponed the surgery. So Laura realizes that Hobbs is getting his revenge on Sinclair. Hobbs tells Laura Sinclair took the one thing he truly loved, Gottfried tells Sinclair he has agreed to pay the ransom of £100 million. Sinclair goes to his office and shoots himself. Laura tells Hobbs how she dropped her diamond in the sink and then she figured it out. Now we see a flashback, when Hobbs was taking all the diamonds in his work trolley at intervals to his workroom. Ollie receives word that the ransom was deposited into the account, but the note from Boyle showing the location of the diamonds is blank. We see how Hobbs emptied the diamonds down the sink. Then, the South African star was actually in the bottom of the toilet Hobbs was asked to clean. Now Hobbs points the gun at Laura and pulls the trigger. To his surprise, the gun was never loaded. He tells her it doesn't matter now because the money will have been paid. He turns off his torch and walks away. Laura walks down the tunnel and looks round the corner. There are all of the diamonds, piled high at the end of the drain. Now we see men carrying boxes of diamonds out of the underground tunnel while Laura sits on the steps wrapped in a blanket. Finch tells her he has lost his 5% finder's fee because she found the diamonds. Laura is about to make an admission but Finch stops her. He says he would hate to see her spend the rest of her life behind bars. He says goodbye and leaves. She remembers the large diamond in her pocket, but she decides to keep it. We see Ollie telling the press that the diamonds were not stolen, then allows them to photograph all the diamonds inside the vault. Dmitriev is seen signing a contract to secure his relationship with the company once again. Back to the present day, and Laura is again talking with Cassie, telling her that she left the company a month later, how she received a letter from a Swiss bank informing her of a deposit made to an account in her name of £100 million. Laura hands Cassie a manuscript of her story to be published, hoping it will inspire other women. At the end, we see how Laura donated all the money to worthy charities around the world. We see a photo of Laura with her husband and daughter. Cassie reads the final words of the manuscript. It's a remarkable world out there, a broken bar. Will you be a giver or a taker? She walks outside to look for Laura but she's already gone. Thank you for choosing our channel to enjoy on movie. Like and subscribe to watch more videos like this, and don't forget to turn on your notifications. That really helps my channel. Thanks for watching.